So the president says, I'll be right eventually about the pandemic that has now taken nearly 141,000 American lives. John Berman here in for Anderson. And that's a strange way of looking at things at a time like this, because in the meantime, with nearly 141,000 mothers and fathers, brothers and sisters, friends and neighbors gone from this earth in less than 5 months, and tens of thousands more projected to die, he's making decisions that put their lives in this country at risk, apparently to prove that he's right. In other words, Americans may now be sacrificed in the name of vanity, and the president is not even bothering to hide it.
I'll be right eventually. I will be right eventually. You know, I said it's going to disappear. I'll say it again.
But
it's going to disappear.
Does that discredit
and I'll
you?
be right. I don't think so.
Right.
I don't think so. You know why it doesn't discredit? Because I've been right probably more than anybody else.
In her new book, Mary Trump, who is a clinical psychologist, says her uncle's behavior goes, quote, far beyond garden variety narcissism. Regardless of her assessment, just purely on a factual basis, there's plenty to work with in that interview alone. A few moments before he talked about being proven right, he said something demonstrably wrong after Fox's Chris Wallace pointed out this country's abysmal mortality rate.
When you talk about mortality rates, I think it's the opposite. I think we have one of the lowest mortality rates in the world.
Keeping them honest, he's wrong. Take a look. This is from Johns Hopkins University's COVID database. Mortality rates adjusted for population in the 20 hardest hit countries. The United States is third with just under 43 deaths per 100,000. And by third, that means third highest, third worst. So wrong on that and wrong on this.
Many of those cases are young people that would heal in a day. They have the sniffles, and we put it down as a test. Many of them, don't forget, I guess it's like 99.7%. People are going to get better, and in many cases, they're going to get better very quickly.
Just a few days ago, the president was claiming the virus is 99% harmless. Now he's up to 99.7. Again, according to Johns Hopkins data, COVID is not 99.7% harmless. It's about 4.6% deadly. But even if it is as low as the president falsely claims, that still means that in a country of 330 million, nearly 1 million people will die if nothing is done to stop the spread. The president, who in that interview boasted of passing a dementia screening test in which he had to identify a camel, cannot seem to see the elephant in the room. This is the deadliest pandemic since 1918, which he continues to call 1917, and continues to say this.
No country has ever done what we've done in terms of testing. We are the envy of the world.
Again, untrue, unless being the world's envy means having the longest lines at testing sites and the longest wait to get results. So the president is wrong as well on that. Also on this.
If we tested half as much, those numbers would be down.
But this isn't burning embers, sir. This is a forest fire.
But I don't say. I say flames. We'll put out the flames, and we'll put out, in some cases, just burning embers. We also have burning embers. We have embers, and we do have flames. Florida became more flame-like, but it's going to be under control.
More flame-like, he says. Allow me to translate. That means more than 9,500 people are hospitalized in Florida. ICUs in Miami-Dade County today say they're at 130% capacity. 92 new fatalities reported today. In Los Angeles County, daily hospitalizations hit a new high for the 4th time in the past week. Kentucky reporting the highest single-day case total ever. Refrigerated trailers in Texas to hold the bodies. And Americans who on this day in 1969 walked on the moon cannot even fly to the Bahamas, which announced over the weekend it is barring U.S. travelers. Meantime, the president is resisting language in relief legislation supported by Senate Republicans, yes, Republicans, funding more testing and tracing. He's openly undercutting his own infectious disease experts. And with the exception of a tweet today and a visit to Walter Reed the other day, he's still not wearing a mask in public, and he has mocked Joe Biden for wearing one. His campaign staff removed signs at a Tulsa rally telling people to social distance. Is this all because he's so sure he'll be proven right in the end? Or something else? This weekend, the New York Times ran a piece with perhaps the most chilling assessment imaginable. The president got bored with it, David Carney, an advisor to the Texas governor Greg Abbott, said of the pandemic. Americans dying, and he's bored. Well, maybe in an effort to, spice things up a bit, He announced a return to daily coronavirus briefings and made it sound like he's doing it for the ratings.
We had very successful briefings. I was doing them, and we had a lot of people watching, record numbers watching. In the history of cable television, there's never been anything like it.
He's right. No president has ever suggested injecting people with disinfectant, as he did at his last coronavirus briefing. No president has ever used a briefing to hawk so-called miracle drugs that turned out not to be. None has ever boasted about ratings in the middle of a disaster with people dying. But if he's right about anything, he's right about this. People will be watching tomorrow, and hundreds also will be making funeral arrangements. More on all this now from CNN Chief White House correspondent Jim Acosta. Jim, so what is behind this big shift from President Trump when it comes to mask wearing?
Yeah, John, the president